So happy Sunday everyone. Today, not one of my favourite jobs, but nevertheless a job that has to be done. We're pulling back the silage cover. Now obviously you can see it was pulled back already. We had to expose this corner just last night. Kind of run out of silage. We run out of silage more or less on Thursday evening on the bottom pit. That was second cut from 2019. So yeah, we had to pull this back, get a bit of silage just to get the cattle fed yesterday evening. So today, Saturday, we're going to be just straightening the tyres across, taking them off, pulling the cover on up, and it'll leave a nice chunk of silage here at the front that we can use for the coming week. Now we've got a big pile of tyres here that we have to address as well. See where the silage fork is up there? That's where they usually are stacked, just in front of it. So we'll pull the silage fork down. We'll take down that cube up there. That's a clean cube that we use sometimes if we're buying diesel or buying a bulk amount of diesel. So we'll take it down out of the way as well, and try and get the tyres stacked up there if we can, and leave enough space so we can still park the forks back there, the silage fork up there on the wall. So that's what we're going to be doing today, getting that ready, and I'll try and get a bit of footage of that. I might actually put the drone up, get a bit of footage of me taking the tyres off, and maybe voice over it. I'll see how it works out. So let's get at it.
Alright, so here we go with the voiceover. So, as I said, I'm just going to initially start off by moving the couple of items out of the way. The cube here that I've moved into the shed being one. I just left the forks, the pallet forks off on the cube for the minute. Come out, I've hooked on the silage fork and just get it out of the way. I just popped it off over the yard. I'm just going back in there to pick up the forks, and I can start lifting some tyres. Now, the way I left these tyres off last night, as I said, like it was about 6 or half 6 last night that we started. I just pulled these few tyres off and got the cover pulled back just so we had enough silage to feed the cattle. It wasn't the easiest way that I've left them for loading. I just dropped them off all over the place, so it takes a wee bit of manoeuvring about with the forks. And if you look here, the forks are set fairly close together. I stop now in a second and move it, because when I'm going in to pick up tyres, the other one fork is hitting off the tyre as the other fork goes into the centre of the tyre, if you know what I mean. So I've just widened them out, and that stops that from happening at least. Yeah, where they're going now, there's a decent enough area up there. It's fairly wide at this point, and it just suits. We can pop off all the tyres up in there. They're not needed again now until next June. So, and then when next June comes around, there'll be somebody on the wall who stacks them up, maybe puts them in a row, like 2 or 3 of them, 4 of them even, and I can lift all 4 at the one time. So look, it just saves the bit of manhandling and trying to move them around, because lorry tyres are quite heavy, and yeah, you don't want having to roll them up the pit and lift them over the wall. It's a hateful enough job that stripping a silage pit without having to do something like that. So yeah, that's the end of the video. Let's go on to the next part.
So we have all the tyres now are moved out of here, all placed up in a pile on top of the wall. There was also another cube here. I've moved it out of the way, and I'll move this barrel as well. I'll get that out of the way in a few minutes too, just to free up all the space that we can now in front of the pit. Silage fork, I put it back up into position, so I left enough space there to get it back up, which is good. And the good cube, I might be able to stick it back up there as well. I think there might be just space to sit it alongside it. Yeah, so these bags all have to come out of there. I'll pop them all into the bucket now, and then I can tip them. I'll just tip them over this side here. There's a couple of tyres to be moved. There's 2 that's just here a little bit further down. I'm not going to take that much away. I don't want to have too much of it stripped at this point, just so we get it opened and get a face on it. Once you get the front face cut into it, it stops, it just doesn't go off as much. So yeah, we'll get that on, we'll get those 2 things off, we'll pull back the cover, and we'll see how we're going. You see, there's a lot of leaves here because there's a whole batch of trees here which are lovely in the summertime and provide some shelter and from both wind and from the sun at times. But this time of the year, trees start to lose their leaves. caused a lot of debris, but look, it's not the end of the world. It always seems to disappear away to somehow. No, I've no head strap. I would have stuck the camera on my head if I had a head strap and try and video some of this, but yeah, we'll take all this stuff off, get it folded back, and come back to me then in a few minutes, and we'll just see how it's going, what this side of the pit is like, and have a little look at it and review it. So back to me in a second. Okay, so we're just starting to run out of light here, just as we finish up. Pit is fully open now at this point, and silage is nice. There's not much waste on it. You can see a couple of marks here, just kind of where the tyres were sitting on it, and where there might have been little pockets of air at some point. But along the side, very little waste. Very good on this side. A little bit more waste on the other side, but we'll have a look at that in a second, and I'll tell. I know why there's more waste on that side. There always is, but yeah, nice quality silage. A couple of wee spots just here on the front, but it's kind of because it was just in and out a bit. It would have been little pockets of air there at that point, but nothing much to worry about. The likes of those little bits, you put that into the feeder with everything else. It can mix up with it, and it never really causes an issue. Now there is a little bit, you can see here, there's a little bit heavier dark stuff along here, and we'll have to, just as we're cutting out the blocks, just take that wee bit off that. But the reason why there's always, and it's always the case, that there's a bit of bad along there until you get back up till the pit reaches about 6 foot high off the ground. The reason is this pipe that runs along here, an effluent pipe. It runs right outside, right out to the outside of the pit, and there's air gets down that pipe. The reason we run it right to the outside is if you have any little runoff of effluent past the end of the pit, it can come down here, and it's caught here, runs down the pipe, and ends up then in the tank down the bottom of the collection tank. So you have to put up with a little bit of bad on this side when you start into it first. But as I say, once you get in over 6 foot, it's not an issue then. It just seems to disappear out of it. So, but yeah, that is basically it. The quality of the silage will be way ahead. Okay, I don't know what happened there, but the camera just stopped recording on me. Yeah, so as I was saying, silage quality in this pit should be a lot better than the previous pit. Previous pit is 2019 silage, 2019 second cut silage, and it was extremely late. We ended up, that was the wet year where we were late getting the first cut done, and then the weather was just so bad we couldn't get the second cut in. And it was mid-September by the time it was cut, so quality of it was not great. A lot of fibre in it, more so than anything else. But the silage here should be a lot better. The second cut was cut early in August. First cut was cut about more than a week earlier than what we usually cut. We usually aim for around the 3rd, 4th of June. This was cut, I think, around the 24th, 25th of May. So we're a good week earlier than usual, and it should make a big difference in quality. So what we'll do is now, when we get into the first cut silage, it'll be mostly fed to the weanlings because they need good silage at their age. So yeah, weanlings will get that, and we'll probably feed as much of it as we can then to the beef and cattle. Not that at that point it'll not make much difference with the beef and cattle, because the beef and cattle will be on a very small amount of silage at that point anyway. It'll be more of a roughage for them, and at that point your beef cattle will be relying more so on your straights and your root crop. That well, that's what we feed them. So yeah, cows will do fine. They'll be on the second cut silage, and they'll do fine on it. They're at this point, they're in good order. They're in good they're in good shape, so we don't need to improve their condition in any way really at this point. It's more of a maintenance thing with them until they start calving in the end of next February or early March. So yeah, always important and interesting time when you open your silage pit. I know it mightn't be the most exciting video, there's not machinery and stuff flying everywhere in this video, but it's an important and pivotal part of your year when you open your pit, because you get to see firstly how your grass has done, the grass that you grew earlier in the year. Did you do a good enough job on it? Did you do a good enough job covering it and ensiling it? Did it turn out okay? It's basically how good this does can determine how good maybe your weanlings does then as well going forward. So it's an important part of the year when you're opening a pit. But yeah, that's it. It's opened and we'll see how we get on with it.
Thursday, the 19th of November, was International Men's Health Day. Mental health is something that doesn't get near enough coverage, yet it is so common. We all have our dark days, but we look forward to brighter ones. So if you are in a bad place, don't feel ashamed, don't feel alone, and make sure to speak out.
In these strange times, our problems can seem worse. Not being able to do the things we usually do on a daily basis, not being able to see our family and friends like we usually can. It's easy to feel down, to not feel okay. But this will pass. You're not alone.
Are you okay? It's a simple question we can all ask. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to talk. It's okay to share. It's okay to ask for help. It is okay, and it will be okay.